train your fucking canine unit, you can do things from start to see the elements. Kathy Wood those from a 2-nut, play your game of AI over again, bust up your Clash of Clan, figure out what you don't fucking know.
5 breadsticks for my triple treat. 3 layers deep, 10 Cinnabon mini rolls to eat, and the pizza plus another pizza. The triple treat box, only from Pizza Hut.
Watch live TV from 85 plus top channels with YouTube TV. Try it free.
Lost data? Don't panic.
Choices.
Salvage Data can get it back for you, even when others can't. With over 60 convenient U.S. locations.
I figured the big tank first. Let's knock this out.
Good afternoon. Welcome to SOGcast number 2. Today, we're going to tell a second SOG story. And
Make
for
these
our
guys
new
dangerous.
first-time
They can throw down
listeners,
an OP brief.
SOG was the secret war in Vietnam for 8 years, conducted across the fence, Laos, Cambodia, and North Vietnam. The Green Berets ran missions across the
Partly
fence for
Finley.
8 years,
We can
and
tell you that
afterwards
and tell you that, tell
they
you
were
a
not
million
able to talk
different
about those for
variants
20 years.
Just to look
So
at that.
today, courtesy of Jocko Willink and his
do
production
that.
company,
Hey,
we are
I'll tell
going
my
forward
kids
with
to go
more
back.
stories about SOG and the secret
Drew, you
missions.
probably should
I'd like to
recount this first
introduce
before you do
today's
this version.
guest,
Come back on
James
it.
Henry Shorten Jones, with a fascinating story
Then hit
and
that, split
probably
it,
one of the
run
most
this guy
unique
with
stories
him
in
on
all of
the,
SOG history,
Tesla Exxon story.
particularly amongst the Special Forces soldiers, and we'll get into that
been
in the
mass
details as
direction.
we go along.
Yeah.
Jim, welcome to the show.
Hi, pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me to come.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and to this day, every time you
Terracotta
and I
Army,
talk about different aspects of your
Pengloss,
missions,
that's the one I
it
want.
still like blows my little tiny mind, to tell you the truth of the matter. And if you like, we could just talk a little bit about your history that got you
It's out there. You think you
into
can
the
find it?
military, and it's unique in and of itself. How it all started with you being born in England, and take it from there with a little bit of background, so our audience would know who you are and how you got to eventually run missions in SOG.
So you want me to go from England up as fast as I could up to the
Yeah,
SOG
the Blue
time?
As
Stone
quick
Militia
as you
patch.
could.
Okay. So I was born in Liverpool, England. My family
We
were
get
scouts.
that.
That's the
We walk
Irish
over
that
there
went
with
to Liverpool,
45 and
England to
just
work on
pistol
the
whip
ships.
somebody in the face.
And
tell
so
them,
I'm Irish. So I came over to the United States when I was 11 years old, and lived all over the
You want something
country.
cool? This is what it is.
Ended up
You want to
in
make it work right?
California.
Let me see how you do it.
And when I was 17,
Right
I wanted
there.
to join the
I
Navy
mean,
to go
didn't
see
we?
the world. So I wasn't a
So it's
citizen, so I
quick.
became a citizen in
It's
1964.
snap your neck.
And from there I went
Big four.
to go see
You
the
like
world,
Big
but I
four
ended
for
up
Snowflake
getting
on Penn's Row?
I ended up getting
If that became
stationed
Battlefield out
in
there today
Arizona.
on the HUD, you'd have to
And,
graph it like Rabbit
and
Order.
so from there, in Arizona, what I was doing,
Being
I
a
took up
the trig,
I worked on the fuel farm for a while.
no, there's no
fueling the
algorithm.
jets.
You
and it was
can
the old jets, the T-33s.
simplify field
the,
theory as
what do you
easy
call
as
those
an
other
OP
things
brief
with
in
the
the sand.
tri-tails on 'em,
Or they're like, no way we bring this back to
Super
Rome, boys.
Constellations,
Okay.
all these DC-3s.
yeah, of course.
I worked on all those planes. So from there, I became
Remember
a dental
first time?
assistant, and I worked in the dental
August.
office as a dental assistant. And then they had the captain retired, and they put a commander in there. And then the commander didn't want me in there because I wasn't school trained, even though I knew everything that I needed to know there.
Not Mill.
And so from there, I became a lifeguard. And from the lifeguard at the pool, I went ahead and I got orders to go to
And then,
Norfolk,
like I said,
Virginia, to
because the
work on the
course
USS
OP
Arlington,
brief
which was the
is
AGM
every
R2,
day
as a
490
communication ship. It was an
in
old aircraft
Bluestone
carrier.
you're on
They put
probation. So
antennas
it's
on the
one thing,
surface,
like
on
thing
the
to do.
flight deck.
Everything
So
goes
it
red.
took forever for that
Red
ship
room,
to be
video, dark web, bits and
you know,
bytes. We
commissioned.
man 'em up, we
Yeah,
mine them
become
out. Like
commissioned,
that
yeah.
was the incident
So I
report.
volunteered
That
and worked
was
on
the
tugboats
after action
for
report.
3 months,
We're
and I
gonna get
really
the
enjoyed working on
non-judicials.
tugboats. Hard work, but
And Mario,
the
he's
guys
gonna
with
have to
E8s
jump, and he probably will.
E6s and
Hurt
stuff
monitor,
as a
ring.
commander.
So
they're
you
just-
eventually
for
get to Vietnam with
figuring
the
you out.
Navy.
You live?
Yeah, so
I'm a
from
good
there,
boss.
then I worked on USS Deneville. I went overseas on a med cruise, came back.
Looked like him,
Then I
too.
heard they were looking for guys that wanted to go do shore duty in Vietnam, and I'm going shore duty in Vietnam. I said, "Where's Vietnam?" And they go, and this chief looks at me and goes, "We're fighting a war in Vietnam." I go, "Really?" I says, "I'll go."
Well, of course,
So-
if they're in your ear.
He goes, "It's
mean,
a war." I
you're
says, "I
kidding
don't
me.
care. I'll
No,
go."
you're trying
I'll go.
to just grind
so I
sentinel
decided to go
steps out, walking,
to go there,
looking at
and they
things,
sent me
you-
to SIR
you-
training and a bunch of other
8
survival
hours
training
solid
and stuff.
pulling
And
cans,
from
one
there, I went
common,
to
two
Da Nang,
common,
Vietnam, and
pulling
I liked it there. You know,
photons.
I stayed there for 22 months.
You can,
This is
behind glass,
1964,
explode a
65.
AR-15 in the
66.
barracks with the
Yeah,
lights off
66
and
I
time
went.
it. That's
So,
calculus.
in
They do it enough
66, what I
times,
did
it
is
becomes
I stayed there for 22
fundamental
months.
laws
I had a
pop
girlfriend.
up
She
at
taught me how to
inverted
speak
laws.
Vietnamese.
Spooky
And
actions
so
and squeaky.
I had that under my belt. And I worked with Cargo Handling Battalion 2, CHP 2.
And so, what you find
shored
about
up
Comment
ships,
X
spliced cables,
before you
that sort of
probably
thing.
go
Worked
get
Well,
your
then also
black
in your
belt from a
travels
bunch
up
of
and down
them
Highway
that
1, you
learn
picked up some
that
hitchhikers
one
that,
apart.
that tweaked your interest in special
Yes.
forces.
Fortunately,
Yes,
those
in
in the
Da Nang,
Vitruvian
I was
Man
stationed at
trig into-
Marble Mountain. No,
Right.
Monkey Mountain.
If I
Monkey
walked
Mountain,
into
Monkey
it
Mountain.
with
Marble
the
Mountain was at the other end where
spin
CCN
mass
was.
Yeah.
direction,
And anyway, I
mathematically
picked
it'll
these
house it better
green beanies that were
for
sitting there hitchhiking
calculations
on the
and
road,
trajectories.
when I was driving trucks. And they told me a
Mathematically
little
to
bit
the
of stuff, what they
chemistry,
were
but
doing
now
and
let's say we
stuff.
couldn't get one of those machines to
So
work outside
anyway,
the
I was
output
thinking
of the
about becoming a
duality
Navy SEAL.
in
and
that
then that
that
song
says
came out
what
from Derek
magic
Sadler,
here am I
3 out of
missing
100 make
feeds
it,
and
I go, "Bull
speeds
puppy, I
that
can
don't
make that."
well obviously
So I
feed
went
speed.
ahead and just went into the Army. I
And
came
so
back to the
yeah,
States,
that's
joined the Army,
invisible
took my
Hawking's
battery test as a civilian.
radiation, you know, so you take it
And,
down like that.
Oh, and
You
I
make it
couldn't get in the
tangible
Army at first
a bit.
because I had a GED. I quit school when I ran away from home and joined the Navy.
And there it's
Yeah.
up, there it's down.
So I,
Naturally.
I was 21 years old when I went back to high school. And so I'm in San Diego, and they said, "Well, we'll give you a thing, but we'll give you a diploma.
Stick your
We
hand
want
in
you to
the
take California
light,
history and
yeah,
government
blue.
first." So I was taking California history and government, and the
Usually the
principal
first
came
wedding
in.
ring she gives you.
The principal comes into the room and he
Yeah,
goes,
that one
"Hey, we
stack,
want to see you in the
always.
office." So I go down to the office and says, "We're just going to give you a diploma." So they get my diploma. So then I
He
went
walked
into
into
the Army.
board and was like, I
And I
got
went
4
through
people outside ready to just
basic
stomp anybody
at
out.
Fort Ord.
Like,
Then I went through advanced infantry training, and I was the outstanding trainee of the cycle. I got that
yeah,
little
that one,
trophy
that
and
point,
the
okay, now
certificate
can
and
you
everything.
Oh,
do
Yeah, the whole
NCO
group.
Credo?
And then from there I went to jump school, which I was
No, I
already
can't.
skydiving, so it was no big deal
True
for me.
North, Magnetic
So
North,
from there I
Polar
went to
North, and the
Fort Bragg.
7 principles
So they
of
put me in
training, 5 principles
communications,
of war. We're going to
like
go
yours
there.
truly.
Sun
Certainly,
Tzu,
05
calligraphy,
B4S, you
to
were.
whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they put me into that, but I couldn't
They're
get
gonna
that
give you
diddy
at the
dumped up
board
diddy fast
dumb
enough.
questions.
So I went up to him, I
The
said,
Fed
"Look,
in
I'm
charge of
gonna
the
fail.
paper.
I
Jesus,
can't
woman.
get this stuff fast enough." I said, "Look," I said, "I
Christ.
worked with Seabees
Okay.
over Vietnam." I said, I'm good at math. Put me in
Jesus,
engineers."
yeah,
So they
apparently.
did. They took me out of communications, put me in engineers, and that was a piece of cake
And it's
for me.
dangerous, you know.
So I went through
And
that,
we
and then
forgot to calculate
then I
that
kept hearing
too,
people
and
talking about
secondary
CCC.
protocol,
All
cameras on
talking about
cameras,
CCC.
and
While you're
that's
now
really
you're in
how we
country,
solved
Vietnam?
No, this has
anything.
been training
Back
group
in
when I
And
was
you forget we go to war
yeah, when I
about
was in
that.
phase 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Worley. It was
Whoa.
Worley and a guy named Kelly or something, and they're
They're
sitting there
playgrounds.
saying,
You want to go
"Whatever
do
you
some
go
stuff,
to
you know,
CNC."
make the winter
I go,
games, whatever you
"Why
want.
not?
Sign
Get
the
yourself
contract,
killed, go to
PCG.
CNC." Well, because now I got to go to see if I can get myself killed. So
The challenge, the gauntlet has been thrown
that's
down.
right.
Oh,
yeah.
indeed.
So
Sir.
I decided,
Good
I'm going to
sirs.
go there. So
Okay.
when I got
Be
there,
right back.
I was going to go to Da Nang.
Oh. That's the kind of thing that makes it so good. Can't wait. It should be delicious.
You think about calling for a ride?
Bark, bark.
What's the
Those
worst that
guys
can
could be out there. They exist. Things
Lose
that
your
are out there.
license. Totally.
Well, last week, we opened one of our shows with me reading extensively. In fact, we followed up. We opened part of a program with it, and then we followed up the next day on it. A New York Times story talking about an increasing pattern, a new trend in education, particularly public education, government education in this country.
Very subtle things
which
in the
is
undertones of it
more
all. It's like
school
things that you
closures
don't
for
understand
reasons
are weirdly connected
either tangentially
based
related
on the
or just
personal
unrelated
dark
to
matter
COVID.
in it all.
Right, we had
Some
schools closed in
cloud of
far too many
fucking-
places, massively detrimental to kids, to their mental
And in
health, to
itself
their
are not
development.
necessary. Again, son's gonna get up
You
tomorrow.
look at learning
Yell
loss,
at
you
us
look at all
for
kinds
being
of
off, not being right or
emotional and
something.
physical problems, social problems. I mean, that list is now long. The data, the clarity that we have on the
Navy
enormous,
SEAL astronaut.
profoundly harmful disservice that was done to millions of kids around the country based on
You all be
anti-scientific
fine.
decisions to close and then keep closed schools. Even when we were looking at real-time data, real-time outcomes
Teacher union demands
in
more
Europe,
school closures.
in the UK,
cities
in
burn
private
out.
schools around the country, in states that were open
Well,
like Florida.
let's see if we can do a different index.
There
I'll
were
have
still a lot
union.
of places,
We can
and
do a
generally,
board
the more
meeting.
democratic
This
and
guy
the bluer you
seems to be
get, the more
motivated,
likely
like a
kids were
volunteer.
locked out of classrooms
And
for
the
longer.
domain, buddy. You know, when you got the Fed,
Because of this
it
unholy
could
alliance
be. Now,
on this
however,
issue
you would assume somebody's on
between
it.
the Democratic Party
Obviously, closures
and the
are not the right
government
answer.
public teachers unions.
Cleaning is. You can make math any which way
And
you
I
want.
think that
you
we
can
are
focus
going
more
to be
critical on
grappling
that
with
focus right there. You could talk about all kinds of different
the
plagues
ramifications
and
and the
cyclicals,
consequences of that
verbs,
for a long time.
adjective,
I think we
theta
have
that
barely
pop up in
scratched
here.
the surface of the harm inflicted on kids. And yet,
They're monsters, kids.
now that schools have reopened, almost everywhere at this
Maxwell
point,
Ray Light, black body IQ
belatedly,
test.
disgracefully
you know, we can make
belatedly
it
in a lot
any
of places,
45,
you now have
polarized,
teachers and teachers unions saying,
diamond
oh
necklace
gosh,
you want.
this is so overwhelming,
Well, we
we're
really
beleaguered,
can.
we're tired, we're burnt out,
just make them
and so
unified
schools,
units. It's
and
like
we
inch
read extensively
means
from
this
the
much time,
New
but
York
it'll
Times
squeaky
story,
out to every time, like, 10
which
minutes,
interviewed
15
parents
minutes,
just
20
shocked and
minutes,
angry
10
parents in
45
places
minutes.
ranging from Michigan to
Yeah,
Nevada
do
and all over the country.
missionary a
When
million
school
times
districts
on a
just
mission,
at the drop of a hat say, we're actually
magician
going to
pull
close
rabbit out
schools
of a
now
hat.
for
What it was,
2 or
kid
3 days
asked
at
me
a
some
time, or
dumbass question like change Bernoulli
every
over to,
Friday
like,
for the
4
rest of
on
the
that
month.
one. Okay, fine. You just
or
do it.
the next entire week
Zeros.
with 2 days
and
notice.
bad. That means tornado, and it would be bad.
As if there hasn't been enough
That would
learning
mean
loss.
like wouldn't it make
As if the
it
kids
would, maybe
aren't
physics
already
is crazy
trying
like
to
that.
catch
you,
up,
You did back
locking
down.
them
It's still like
again
whoa,
out of
there's a
classrooms
tornado coming.
for new reasons is
But
absolutely
on the other side of that
outrageous
tornado,
and shocking, and yet it's happening.
tornadoes.
And the
Dark
explanation
matter
is that these
equations that
teachers,
work
it's
the
just
same
really
way
hard on
into
them.
some
I
spooky
have no
shit that's
doubt
out there.
that there is some burnout and fatigue and frustration,
Same
and that
rabbit.
there are challenges.
Same front.
Some of the
We'll be
challenges,
over
by
there
the
is
way,
right.
caused
We're
by
claiming
or certainly
Ukraine or
exacerbated
Russia,
by
China's
school
bullshit,
districts
right?
and states' decisions to keep kids